Oh, yes, we're back. And if you see us on the screen, it must be Friday night on the bus. And as always, you know what that means. It's time for that Friday feeling. Yes, we had a week off last week. One international break was just one too many this year. I was absolutely drained after that. But I suppose, given the circumstances of what happened most recently, maybe it was good to just lay low for a week, just to get out the line of fire. But yes, it's good to be back. I'm so happy to see you already. Even though technically speaking, I can't actually see any of you, but you know who I can see right now? I can see the wise man. I can see Canada's favourite Tim. I can see Liam Greenlaw. How you doing, mate?
Doing good. Got to say, I had more fun watching the Canada games than I did the Scotland games. But yeah, good to be back.
Yeah.
A lot of their big games now seem to come at the start of an international break. That's a few times we've played them now, where either we're winning, we're on a high, or last time we're on a low. But it sort of breaks just sort of breaks the momentum of it going, like when they come in with like important times. That's when everybody's talking about Scottish football, and then we sort of arrange our games around the most inconvenient time to stop. But we're back at it tomorrow, so super excited.
Fun fact, I learned this today from listening to another Celtic pod. Apparently, after every international break this season, we've had Hearts as our first fixture. That's mad, that, isn't it? Every international break this season, yeah. We beat Rangers in September, had an international break, came back and played Hearts. The international break we must have had in October, November. The first game back after that was Hearts. And yes, tomorrow, the Jam Tarts, the Watery Farts, the Super Mario Karts, they will be in town tomorrow for that one. So yes, it will be the Jambos in town. We'll be talking about that later on. We'll be talking about a few other stories that are doing the rounds. Me and Liam will briefly, and as I say, very, very briefly have our say on what happened 2 weeks ago, because it's still the most recent game. I guess we've got to use it as a reference point in some way. And yes, I say there's a few other stories doing the rounds. But before, of course, we do all that, I know we've been away for 2 weeks, folks, but you know what you can do. It hasn't changed. The agenda hasn't changed. You can do all that good stuff. That helps out the channel massively. So first and foremost, you get that like button. Help us out in the old algorithm, CSC on YouTube. Get the bus recommended to more people who like Celtic podcasts. Of course, you can hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. We're over 5,000 subscribers now, so there's always another landmark further down the road. So hey, if you've just discovered the Boise Bus and you want to keep us in your life that a little bit longer, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and you'll be notified when we are on the road. And of course, you can get involved in our comment section tonight. So let's have a look at who is in on tonight's Friday feeling. Are all the favourites in, Liam? Let's find out who's here. San Fran Celtic is here. Jim Dolan. Graham Tyrrell. Has he got the klaxon at the ready? I'm sure he has. Alan Moppa is here. Jim C. Ian McIntosh. Scott Howe. 420 somewhere. Joe Hendry. Who else have we got scrolling up here? So many people put in. Oh, there's Graham Williamson. There's Gary Brown. James Kennedy is here. Stephen Kennedy is here. So yes, as I always say, all the favourites, all killer and no filler on the Friday feeling. And of course, you can still share the link to the Boise Bus on whatever social media platform tickles your fancy: Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything that tickles your fancy. Blue Sky. You can get involved in all the ones. And of course, you can still go to piesports.com and you can still put the code in BUS1888 and you will still get 12.5% off all of your tasty pastry treats. And wait a minute, what's that? Oh, I hear a mystery player just around the corner. Yes, I've got a wee mystery player tonight. And Liam, it's quite an easy one. I'm easing you back in with a nice, easy one. So tonight's player, he played for 5 clubs, although only 4 different ones because he had 2 spells at Celtic. So tonight's mystery player, hidden behind the Boise Bus logo, is he played for Celtic, Arsenal, Aberdeen. He had another spell at Celtic. And then he went to Clyde. I'm sitting here thinking that you might know who that is. But anyway, we'll come back to the answer at the end of the show. So yes, indeed. So yes, we'll get round to that. And yeah, all that said and done, Liam, I guess we should just get on with it. Get this Friday feeling on the road. So yeah, as I said at the top there, we'll have a very, very brief chat on 2 weeks ago. We sat here, we did a show, and it was a case of the mission is clear, Celtic. You win this game, you get 2 games to the title. And all you can kind of do is laugh. My simple summary on it, obviously, it was just a terrible day at the office. First half, we were absolutely god-awful. We could have been more than 2-0 down. We were all over the shop. We were making so many mistakes. Rangers were forcing us into mistakes, but we weren't helping our cause at times. We were lucky to be 2-0 at half-time. We played better in the second half, got ourselves back in it. And overall, I just think fine margins just were the difference in the end, because we actually think about it, Liam. See, 20 seconds before we conceded that third goal. Do you remember what happened in the game? Rio Hitati pinged one from just outside the area, just outside of the post, and see if it was just a few inches to the left. That one flies in, and we go ahead. We have 3 minutes to go. And instead, what happens is it just goes by. Rangers take a long, punt it long, essentially, from the goal kick. It takes a good bounce, obviously stumps our defence, and the goal is scored. And say if it had ended a draw, I would have said fair enough. Thought it was the quintessential game of two halves. It was pretty much that. They were good in the first half. We were better in the second half. And just one of the days. So we now find ourselves 4 games from the title, Liam. That's where we're at. But yeah, what was your brief feelings on it?
I mean, it's amazing difference, week or two makes. Because, I was last I was raging and all that. And because we were so confident. If you go back and you look at all the viewers on the bus and we were all predicting scores, there was nobody coming that was saying it was going to be a squeaky one or a draw or never mind getting beat. It's just 3 points. Just get to it. One, I think Brendan Rodgers got it wrong. I mean, we're starting to see a stubbornness right now I thought was only reserved for the Strackens or the Stevie Clarks of the world. It's like he's seemed to some of that Scottish stubbornness rubbing off on him, where he's going to keep putting the square peg into the round hole, see if it'll fit this one more time. So I mean that's concerning with Rodgers there. It's like, okay, if everybody's seeing this and you're not. I mean, the other thing as well, we seem to have I hope Sinisal comes in and has just a good of debut in from the cold as Big Rocky did, because I thought when he came on, and then you see Rodgers' tactics as well, and it actually makes you question, and it's like, okay, well, again, what are you seeing that we are not? We're seeing this tactic trying again, and that's not working. There's a guy that looks like played a pretty good game compared to the regular guys and the people that were on form. Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. And then, so I thought Rocky played well for coming in for the cold, but makes me question why wasn't he played earlier, or how he's not been bedded in earlier, so it's not a question mark as it was. And then the other thing, just the last thing, it's like they were allowed to kick the fuck out of us for the last 20 minutes. That was, I mean, every single player that Barry, that was Alloa Barry, when we Gucci got put out for half a season.
That's right, yeah.
It was like, it was just like go on and boot everything. I think it was like Proper, whoever it was that came in through the Lawrence, came in right through the back of Maeda more than once, and you could see Maeda was really getting visibly upset by it. And I mean, that's the stuff at Scottish referees. I mean, you've got VAR and all that now. That should still not be a tactic that you should be able to implement in VAR football. Unless Scotland sees that as part of the game and that's part of their, hardy tackles, we let this stuff go and all that. That's not how you attract world-class players, and you can see like Maeda wanting to leave for something like that just because of lack of protection. And I imagine it does affect quite the few international players that come to Scotland when you get fucking hammered like that, just in a regular football game.
Yeah, no, one of the players that did have a shocker, but you had saw him in a different light over the last 2 weeks, was obviously the Alistair Johnson had a pretty abysmal game 2 weeks ago. But before we came on there, you said you wanted to touch on what you saw from watching him playing for Canada. And how he was deployed a little differently and the performance he put in there, and hopefully that's the type of Alistair Johnson we see for the remainder of the season. But but if you wish to let us know how you felt with AJ's performances for Canada.
Well, there was a couple of really interesting things I've seen. I watched with AJ, right? So it was interesting because it was AJ against Cameron Carter-Vickers, right?
Yeah.
USA. and they both got a start. AJ was so it was funny. He ended up on the left hand side a lot of the time.
Right, okay.
And so he was sort of inverting with Alphonso Davies at some point. And at one point, there was a point where the ball was pushed down the line for him hard, and he whipped in a cross for him with his left that I've not seen him producing with his right. It was absolutely pinpoint. I mean, Jonathan David just missed it, but it was a striker's cross. It's the sort of stuff you were thinking, oh, Big Eda's built for that sort of thing, you know? Yeah. Just left the guy for dead, sprinted to the line and cut it across with his left as if that was his natural position. The other thing that was really interesting about him, he's got a long throw. I had no idea.
That's weird.
He took the throw-ins for us. And then what was happening, because he even brought him over to the right-hand side to do it. Left-hand side, they switched sides with him so that he could throw one into the box and he can hit the penalty box with it.
That's interesting because, see, honestly, when I go to the games at Celtic Park, see the amount of times we dilly-dally on a throw-in. It always seems to be from the left back as well. And I'm talking far back as Kieran Tierney, the indecisive left, the throw-in, where he was standing over his head for ages, waiting for players to make a move for him. And you're telling me that this entire time, Alistair Johnson's got a decent long throw on him. That's insane to know that. Like, what?
It's like, well, I just think it because, you know, it's every team that plays against us, particularly in Europe as well. There's times, you know, and we know when we're under pressure, and that's when things are flying into our box. And you always look and say that it's never, ever a part of Celtic's game. It's like throwing a long one, even when we've been down. You know, when Ange was there, it was like all of a sudden it was bang. The throw-ins were immediately
quick throw-ins. Right? Get it back in play as quickly as possible. Yep.
As soon as he left, it changed. Greg Taylor changed it. We sound the klaxon. The wee man figured he could get more TV time and therefore probably more sponsorship. If he looks, and if he makes faces while he's doing it, it looks as if he's playing even harder. And guys would like, you know,
get it in for that. And also, Chris M saying the throw-ins even had swaz on them. There's a word, swaz. There's 420 coming in. There's the klaxon sound, and there is a big Taylor mention of the night. There we go. But yeah, in terms of like international football, I didn't watch any of it at all. I wasn't that interested in the Euro Nations League because to me, it's all just glorified friendlies. So Scotland lost to Greece over the two legs. Fair play, they won out in Athens, but obviously got humbled there. So I didn't really touch on any of it. The only Celtic player involved was Anthony Ralston. Quite ironically, Anthony Ralston's played more games for Scotland this season than he's had minutes for Celtic. So make of that what you will. But yeah, in terms of that, I didn't really pay too much attention. I just kind of decided I didn't like football for the last 2 weeks for some unknown reason. I decided to hide away from it all. But yeah, I'll say thankfully it's all over. But it is interesting to hear that Alistair, you know, he's capable of other things, and it's like, yeah, maybe mixing it up a wee bit. Imagine that, you know, mixing up the tactics a little bit and trying something a bit different. Could have maybe done well a wee bit of that last week, you know. Could have maybe, you know, they changed it at times. So,
Phil, there was a bus stop during the game with
you heard about this
and Jonathan Davids, and CCV was going off his head, and just Johnson managed to just, you know, worm his way through the scrum and just grabbed a hold of him and then pushed him backwards and all that. Johnson was laughing, but Cameron Carter-Vickers, wasn't he? He was raging. And so I think that you could see Alistair Johnson, but they never got made up or pally. But my God, it would have been great to see that same amount of passion for the two of them.
Well, I was about to say, when you're saying that Cameron Carter-Vickers was angry, and I was like, the words Cameron Carter-Vickers and angry don't go together. He's a very placid guy. He's obviously a very competent centre-back. But when he's wearing the armband in McGregor's absence, he wasn't striking me as the type of guy that's going to get stuck in there. So the fact that he was showing that type of passion and emotion, I'm like, where the hell was that 2 weeks ago? Because, again, we could have done with that out there. It was so placid. But, yeah, it's good to know that he's got that in him. But ultimately, I do think if McGregor is out in the future, it shouldn't be Cameron Carter-Vickers that's got the armband. So just leave him as the just the big centre back that just does his job, but rather than making him the leader out there in the park. But it's good to know that he's got that in him anyway. And yeah, I did hear about the bust up, and Alistair Johnson playing the peacemaker essentially. But yeah, it was I was saying it's over now, international break. So now we are full guns blazing right up to the end of the season. Yes, thankfully, no more international breaks until the season's over. There was a comment I was going to bring up as well that I noticed. Where point? Yeah, because I was like, I should have started this. I really should have started it, Liam. But yes, where is it? But basically, we've got a Brazilian viewer in the chat tonight. Or somebody throws you from there. I say, good evening, boys. Brazilian Tam, all the way from Brazil. So the bus goes far and wide. Brazil, that's the first time I've seen somebody pop up in the chat.
There was a guy, what was his name? Neil. He's big shout out to the Rio boys and that, because he's told us some great stories about the Celtic, the Rio Celtic Supporters Club. He just left. He was a guy for our broth, Neil Jameson. So if it's a pal of him, give us a shout. Let us know if you're one of his pals.
Exactly, Brazilian Tab. So yeah, get back to the chat and let us know. Now, one of the comments that I've started here, and this is one of the points I like to talk about tonight. Alan Walker's brought it up, the Hampden ticket on your phone nightmare. So yeah, Liam, Scottish football is trying to take a step into the future, but I'm not too sure that this is the right thing to do. So basically, there was rumours doing the rounds a few weeks ago that the semi-final game against St Johnstone was going to be e-ticket on your smartphone. Now, keep in mind, not everybody in the population and not everybody in the Celtic community might necessarily have a smartphone. Fans of a certain age might not know how to operate a smartphone and don't have one. They've been going. I mean, I've seen plenty of comments today on Twitter, guys saying, their dad's 85 years old. He's been going to watch Celtic for 60 years. And now it's basically like, well, what's he meant to do? Hasn't got a smartphone. I understand why they're trying to do this. It's obviously to tackle ticket touting and whatnot, but I just think it's also just too much. I think it's going way over the top. I am predicting, this is how I predict it's going to go. There will be fans, hundreds, maybe even thousands, who I think will miss kickoff and maybe a bit longer. I can see this being a problem at the gates because you're going to have to rely on stable Wi-Fi connection at the stadium. And from my experience, going to Celtic Park and going to Hampden, it's not great, especially when you've got thousands of people in the same area trying to access the same thing on their phone. It's going to crash the network. It happens all the time. I say, Celtic Park, if I go there, my phone connects to the Wi-Fi. If I'm there quite early, it's not too bad. It'll browse. But see, as soon as the place starts getting busier and busier, that's it. It's gone. Try to check stuff at halftime. You want to check the halftime scores, or whatever. Maybe you've got a line on at the bookies. You want to see what the scores are. You're shit out of luck. Your phone ain't connected to anything. And there's also talk as well that Celtic might be going down this route next season, where the season tickets becoming this as well, and possibly there'll be no paper tickets going forward. See, I understand it's also to try and tackle ticket touting, but I can see there's going to be a lot of problems. I mean, what bit of technology ever gets wheeled out, Liam, and works first time? You just know that there's going to be complaints of thousands of people stuck at the gates at Hampden, couldn't get in time for kickoff, maybe missed 20 minutes, half an hour, God knows what it'll be. I can already see JP Taylor on Twitter taking all sorts of bullets from Celtic fans, just raging, just tagging him all the time. I feel sorry for the guy. I know he's a supporter liaison officer, and that's literally part of his remit. But yeah, he must be sitting there thinking, oh, for God's sake, what have you done now, Celtic? Why have you put me in this position again? But yeah, it seems like Celtic, not necessarily Celtic, but Scottish football, because obviously this game's at Hampden. It's the SFA that have organised it. Try take a step into the future in Scottish football, Liam. It doesn't seem to go hand in hand, that one, does it?
My God, if you look at the amount of, ingenuity and stuff that Scotland has delivered to the world historically through times, affecting every part of your daily life, and it's all been successful. How is it we completely skip football to such an extent where it's almost like we are the most... How did the ones that invented the game be the ones most backwards about governing the game? Absolute clown show from start to finish. When do you bring out a new technology without having some sort of paper backup or anything like that for the people that cannot adopt fast enough to what, because there still is a cultural shift there. There's people my age and stuff like that. I'm pretty savvy with computers and all that, but even now and again, it's like, you're right. You get a really dodgy intermittent signal, and that throws everything off. And now they're talking about, the power grid and the amount of pressure and the amount of stuff on the energy we already have. You're right. Let's say so. What if there's blackouts in and around the Hampden area? Do you cancel the game? Because you can't do that in Champions League. You get fines for that sort of. You delay it, you get fines for that. So I don't know. I think it's just a lot of it's. I think it's just part of the whole way football fans are being treated right now. So a lot of Alan Moore and Grant Morrison comic books and stuff. It's like football has been used as an experiment just to see how far you can and push large groups of people. The last thing, a lot of it seems like, influence, where it's like the people that run football and Celtic and all that, it just seemed to be an extension of government, where it's, very much us against them, that we know better, and at some point you're going to have to start listening to the people, and everything that's sort of being moderated or implemented isn't so that, those groups of people become smaller and smaller and easier to manage. And that's all it is. They do not want a large contingent of Celtic supporters that agree on the same things, that can mobilise, that have utility, but more or less a shared mindset, but also a communication process through podcasts and newsletters and forums and all that sort of stuff, where we can express ideas freely. That's not to them. I mean. It's funny seeing it from this side of the world, but then again, you're seeing it here right now. It's just the sports is much run. It's run a lot different than it is in the UK. I mean, UK Sky Sports runs a lot of it, but here it's the networks that run everything.
Oh, definitely. Well, the instructions. I bought my tickets today on Celtic's website, so it's just a case of apparently we'll get an email now telling us how to download the Hampden app. It said something about 7 days before the game, you'll get your e-ticket loaded onto it, but they'll send you an email with instructions how to download it, install it, and get it working. And I think Celtic will see this as a trial, because I say there's talk that next season, the season tickets, and I say just all tickets in general, in Celtic Park are going to go this way. So I guess they'll look at how this plays out, and we'll go from there. Because there's been we're getting that time of the year, Liam, where they send out the emails about, season ticket renewals are coming up, which would have been, I think they would have had a hell of a backlash. I'm talking about JP Taylor copying a few on Twitter. Well, if we'd sent out the email about the season ticket renewals on the back of what happened 2 weeks ago, Jesus Christ, there would have been an absolute war. That would have been unbearable for the poor guy. And also just a wee update as well, Brazilian Tams came back in to say he's only been there a few months, he's retired, couldn't give it the chance up. He's in the state of, I'm going to try Tocantins, outside the city of Palmas. I can pronounce that. He started in the jungle in 1978. Now he's back. Very, very good. And also, well, not just that, we've also got Irishman in Porto 2002. He's in Porto. He'll hail from Portugal. The bus is all over the place today. We're an international bus. So there we go. We've got Portugal. We've got Brazil tuning in as well. So welcome aboard, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. But yeah, see, it's just regarding the e-ticket and whatnot. It kind of ties into another thing that's going on, because obviously before the Rangers game, there was a massive headline, and I knew when the story was developing during the game, and I had a feeling the fallout of this is going to rumble on. And tomorrow, before the Hearts game, there is going to be a protest outside the London Road police station, because the Green Brigade, the core members of the Green Brigade, did not make it into the game. They were kettled by the police outside of the London Road, the club that they're based in. They were basically held there. they were, asked to provide ID, and ones who had shades on and scarves and that covering them up, and there was a lot of back and forth between them and the cops. Again, JP Taylor, I believe, was sent down to Yessss. Oh, poor guy. He was down there as well and amongst it. But yeah, obviously it was an absolute shit show. The Green Brigade never got into the stadium. The atmosphere was all right, but yeah, I mean, there was that element missing. But yeah, it's obviously resulted in them, being very strong in their criticism of the police, how it was handled. And they're going to be leading a protest tomorrow outside London Road Police Station. Now, of course, as if get misconstrued, fans of other clubs are obviously having a wee chuckle about it. And it's like, no. What the point the Green Brigade are trying to raise is this is against all Scottish football fans, because I also did read that Rangers fans also got similar hassle, but not on the scale that the Green Brigade did. They didn't get held back, but there was issues again with the police towards them. I've seen other fans of other clubs coming forward as well in the last few weeks of lower down clubs in Scotland, still saying that even they get it. Motherwell fans, Dundee, Dunfermline and whatnot coming forward and saying the way the police handle them. And it's just a general thing against football fans, which again goes into just how the sport is treated in this country by those that run the country. Not too long ago, John Swinney, the First Minister, was again put on the spot about will alcohol be allowed Scottish football stadiums? No, that's still going to stay in place, to which people then pointed out, but rugby? Again, that's all fine, but no football. You football scum, no chance. None of that's going to be happening. So it is like football fans are the devil in some people's eyes in this country. And yeah, tomorrow there is going to be a protest before the Hearts game at London Road Police Station.
My God. I mean, yeah, it sounds just so dystopian, the fact is that much power and that much pressure can be put on football fans. Like, see if you're a traveller, you're a tourist, and you get caught up in all that, like, do they kettle you as well? Is it like do they kettle everybody in that area indiscriminately? I mean, I've never been kettled at football. I mean, I've been to games like years ago in Scotland and just regular games and that, but I've never been anything where the supporters are clashing or anything like that where you would get kettled. It just seems to me like, I don't know if it's like a training exercise or just an exertion of power. That's what I said before. They want to have proof that they can contain large gatherings and shut it down really quick. So people get that thing. And again, it usually, because I read all the reports, and it doesn't matter whether it's Scotland. I've heard it about, when we played Celta Vigo in Spain, police heavy-handed, Amsterdam, things like that. It seems like a lot of these police bring on their own problems by not being able to communicate effectively of what the purpose is that they're trying to achieve. That would settle it, because every single person has a different, set of circumstances. You could be people in there with pregnant women or and who knows, right? And like people need access to medicine or to movement or air, and things like that. It's something terrible is going to happen at one of these sort of things, and then it'll be blamed on the fans, just like everything else, that somehow we caused it. It's alarming, but I'm all for it. I think if they go down and they have a protest and all that, I think the idea is just to keep as much eyes on it as possible and keep reporting live as much as you can, so that other people can see what's going on. And if you do see stuff like that, retweet it, make your voice heard and all that as well too, because these are guys that are representing us as well. And I know a lot of people have problems with the Green Brigade, but that's just where it starts.
Well, Celtic tonight have put out a statement to just say that they're gathering up, witness accounts of what happened. The club said 2 weeks ago, they were going to look at their options, and I know the Green Brigade themselves said they were consulting legal action over it all. But the club's put up a fine tonight saying they're looking for witness accounts, and they've got an email address set up for anyone that was involved in it or was affected by it, because one of the guys I work with didn't get into the game because his bus was stuck on the London road because of the kettling that was going on. And there was also some weird stat as well. No, stat, just a fact, actually, a bizarre fact, that they kettled them as well down at the Gallagate, I think, like years ago, just down at the Barras, and it was like the exact same day. It was like the on that day in whatever year, say 2014, they kettled the Green Brigade as well down there, and it was like
I remember that.
Aye, it was like an anniversary of it. It was a lot of the chances. So yeah, it's not the first time it's happened. Say some other clubs and certain other fans are having a good chuckle about it, but they're not seeing the bigger picture here. But it's like, no, this is a general thing. So the Green Brigade have said, it's open to all football fans to join in it, but I think it's going to be. I don't see anyone of a blue persuasion turning up to this at all. But yeah, that's going on.
Never know. If you've got people walking side by side in Belfast now, that thing the other day you didn't think you'd ever see. So yeah, you never know, because I think it affects all of us, and it's I don't know. I don't live in Glasgow anymore, but met plenty of decent Rangers fans along the years. No,
so I've got a few mates as well who are Rangers fans and whatnot, but I've tried to avoid them for the last couple of weeks, put it that way. 420 somewhere, an anniversary kettle, for fuck's sake. I know. Tell me about it. I know, right on the same day.
What if the board will bring out a t-shirt?
Well, before we move on to the next point, one last thing to say, Liam, because I know you like to get the old tinfoil hat out sometimes, you're a Greg Taylor conspiracy, whatnot. But see this, what happened 2 weeks ago with the Green Brigade. Do you think the board knew more than they're letting on?
Put
it this way: on the same week, the board told them you can't have any tifos, and then that happens. These two events linked in some way? Who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe the board just, the whole greenwashing of Celtic with these guys. It's just like, I don't know. Gotta get rid of them. That's the thing.
Who am I to say? Are they connected?
Don't trust.
Make up your own mind.
They've broke any reason you have to trust them. They've broke it every single time. And I know they've delivered trophies and all that, but you think they were the ones putting on the boots and all that, the way they talk about it. No, we delivered trophies, but we still could have done much, much better. And that's just having high standards, which supposedly they have as well. So, can't have it all.
Yeah, as it always says, eyes on the board. Eyes on the board at all times. Okay, so let's move on. We're getting closer to talking about the Hearts game. So today, Brendan popped up to do his press conference. And I think the main talking point of it was he obviously confirmed a couple of players back in training. But the main takeaway from it is he wasn't too pleased when he was asked about the celebrations at the end of the last game and whatnot. And he basically said, the lack of respect, and said that if any of his players had done it in a similar situation, he wouldn't have been too happy. Now, I know us as fans, we would have loved it. I mean, we would have loved it for all it was worth if one of our players ran up the touchline at Ibrox, squishing water on the fans in the front row.
Holy water.
So holy water. It'd be holy water for us, definitely. But yeah, I see from his point of view, obviously he said, it was just a lack of respect, essentially, at the end of the day, and he wasn't too pleased about it. I said 2 weeks ago, when we were talking in the build-up to the game, I was happy that away fans were back. I still don't change my stance on that. I think it adds to the occasion. I think the needle that's in the air, you're more amped up when there's a presence of that lot there. End of the day, if we win at their stadium, we've got fans there, we're going to celebrate and milk it for all it's worth. It's all just part and parcel of it. But I do understand I've seen stories doing the rounds the last 2 weeks about Vaclav Černý getting an 8-match ban, which I think's absurd. But the argument is that with the way that stand is built and how low that barrier is, what was stopping fans from jumping over there and hitting him, essentially? So there is as much as it's just water, right? And it's all part of the celebrations and the needle in the air, right? There is an argument to be made that, well, fans could easily access that pitch. They could easily get over that little wall. Do you think a couple of stewards are going to be able to stop, like, if 20 fans decided to just like, oh, fuck this guy, and jump over the barrier? These are the type of things that could. I don't know that it was going to happen, but I can see the argument. But I mean, yeah, Brendan Rodgers obviously asked about the whole celebrations at the end, and he wasn't too happy. He said it was a bit disrespectful and whatnot, and said that, yeah, if any of his players done it, he wouldn't be too happy about it. But I say, from our point of view as fans, Liam, I know we would have loved it. But yeah, that was the main talking point, really, from Brendan's presser today, was just on that. Otherwise, it was just Brendan just being Brendan for most of the part. But what do you make of his opinions on it all?
One of the things that over 28 years I've been trying to explain Scottish football to my wife, right? And I was trying to tell her this one. It was like, Aye, they scored, and then the Rangers player ran past the fans, squirting them all with water. It's going, what? I go, aye. Yeah, it's a crazy situation. I mean, if you did that at your work anywhere else, I mean, if you worked in a bar and you're watching a big game and your team scored, you wouldn't run there especially something that isn't your section where you don't know the people, and spray them all with water behind the bar. You wouldn't be employed the next day, but somehow an employee of Rangers gets to do that. And I mean, aye, it's funny and all that in a way, but fuck, I mean, it's fucking stupid on his part, and it's really, really daft, I think, for them not to distance themselves from it, because, as you say, it just opens up a whole new thing there. I mean, Christ's sake, Tierney, I mean, pick your targets. I mean, better have a dry suit in the back of your motor every time you go out, because you never know. You know, Super Soaker Sundays, every time you see him in the tune, you know, I just like jacking up and just drenching him. I mean, that's stupid. It's stupid. Made himself. And then it'll be all like Morelos, you know. I mean, people will be messing with his brake pads and all that. And
that's right. I remember that whole thing, yeah.
Because you've done something really stupid and then volatile thing. And even if it was a heat of the moment thing, come out and apologise. Come out and apologise. Yep. You know what? Yeah, fucking get everybody in the first 3 rows a pie or something. Or buy them all a big bottle of water, 3 drinks, or whatever it is. Just make it right. You're an idiot. So suck it back in. Just tell people, it was daft. But Barry, he can make anything serious, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when AI finally does take over, we're going to think all along that wasn't a human. That was or for some reason the most boring AI guys will be based on Barry Ferguson. just seems annoyed with everything.
Yeah,
you know, living his best life right now, and he's still annoyed. My God.
Yeah, he's Well, we'll see if he ends up getting the job permanently there. I know there's a lot of Celtic fans that are hoping that does happen, but yeah, they've had the celebration. They got the win there, and ultimately, at the end of the day, or the end of the season, you know, Brendan said it best a year ago when he came back. I'll see you back here in May. So as it stands right now, Celtic, I'd still much rather be in our position than theirs. And of course, the treble isn't won yet. It's still on the table. You know, we have to tiptoe around. I know us as fans can think that way and look ahead to it, but obviously the players and Brendan will be drilling it into them that, you know, this isn't one yet. There's obviously a bit of work to go. There's a few injuries that have obviously cropped up as well that have been unexpected that hopefully don't play too much of a part, but obviously the hard work starts now. So it's a title run in. That was the last international break, and right through the end of the season, we've got 4 league victories. Will get us to the title now as it stands, and it starts obviously tomorrow with Hearts. Now, one of the guys, or two of the guys, I think what we saw as well with the Rangers game was how, you know, we're limited in the middle of the park, which we've always regarded this season as being one of our best areas. But the midfield were completely overrun 2 weeks ago, and as much as we all do love Luke McCown, and it's great, you know, what he's I think he's had a good season up to now, but I thought last week, I don't know if it was just a case of he was just so amped up because being a Celtic fan and getting this big start in the Rangers game, he was very erratic. He did have one brilliant moment with the pass for Hatate for the equaliser, but ultimately he was way off it. But the problem was with McGregor injured, and of course the other key was Bernardo injured, it really exploited us for how shallow we are in the middle of the park, the options there. I know a lot of people were shouting about the substitutes that Rangers made, and they made changes to win it, and it's like, yeah, but Brendan can only play the cards that are dealt. And if you're shouting about Brendan's substitutions, well, look to the bench. His midfield options were Jude Bonner, who's came on for 1 substitute appearance all season, and it's like, in that situation, you're telling me you'd be happy if he did that? So it's like Brendan had to pretty much stick with Engels, Hatate and McCown, even though at times it clearly wasn't working. But as it turns out, Liam McGregor and Bernardo are back in training. Bernardo's also been out a bit longer. I don't know if Bernardo will start, but at least he's there now, and it will help at least with the midfield. I think McGregor will come straight back in. I can't see if McGregor's fit to go. I think he's in the team right away. I'd be quite surprised if he plays that same thing again. Don't get me wrong, though. Hearts are not as much of a threat as Rangers in terms of, like, you know, the strength of their team. But I think if McGregor's good to go, I think he's right back in there tomorrow. Bernardo will get some minutes, though, I think, because he's been out for... In fact, it was originally when he was injured, Brendan said, oh, it's 5 weeks he's expected to be out, and that was way more than 5 weeks ago. So he's been out for a long, long time. Has he even kicked a ball in 2025? I don't even know. It's been that long since we've seen him. But I do think he will get some minutes. But I think tomorrow in the midfield will be McGregor, Hatate, and Engels. I think McCown will drop out.
I think I agree with you there. Just going back to Bernardo, I think we've missed him. We missed him.
I think so. Yeah.
I thought at the beginning of the season when Arne Engels was getting all the plaudits, I thought Bernardo was just up, was level or sometimes better than him in games. He started the league really, really well with us, and he was scoring, and he was seeming to build a confidence, and we commented on it that, wow, okay, I think we got a good player here for 6 million. I was thinking, wow, he seems to have picked up where Jota's left off as far as, you know, filling in that sort of, like, you know, some dynamic goals, some great passes. You know, he picked out Maeda for a few really good goals as well, with sharpness passing and being creative and imaginative. I think he's got a good engine. I think he's better in the tackle than Engels. So, yeah, I'd like to see him get some game time so that he can come in and be part of this, because, my God, as you said, at the Rangers game, our squad was just threadbare.
It was.
Really. And again, you have to look at Rodgers and say, okay, well, you know, you said this was going to be all right. You know, we can't make the board sign players, but Rodgers can. Rodgers can make more noise. And if he was happy with that, then I think that's another weakness that we're just we're seeing with Rodgers, that I think he needs to start, you know, looking up. People were saying that, oh, well, the league is done and all that. League's not done.
No.
League is not done. And if our players went into that game with that sort of attitude, well, that, you know, it wasn't coming for the man. You know, where was the manager and all that? Because, you know that even though the league's done for Rangers, which it is, they went out there to play as if they were playing for pride. And
I'll put this question to you. See, from your mentality and your stance for the rest of the season, are you thinking, I just want the treble won by anyway, or do you feel that after the performance last time against Rangers and the previous one against them, they owe us a bit of a cavalier finish to the season, essentially? You know, they do it, not just get the treble over the line, but with a bit of panache as well. Do you feel that way, or are you just very much, do you know what, by hook or by crook, just get it won?
No, because you know what, then it's like they imploded. Didn't explode at the things. There was weeks where we were losing points and then they lost points as well. You know, so we're very fortunate. I mean, it could have been a completely different story. You know, like, just give 1 or 2 games aside, that momentum would have shifted. And I think that's what it is. It's all about momentum. It's about momentum and getting players up playing their prime. You know, Ange talked about that as well. It's like, you know, developing a mindset so you play every game to the maximum thing. Like, the intensity always has to be there. With things like quick throw-ins and all that, you're always playing football. You're playing. You'll rest, you'll stop when you're tired, but everything's go, go, go. So you don't stop or take the foot off the pedal because you're that many points behind. And yeah, I think it looks like we were playing like we'd already won this thing. And I don't think that's the right way, because we have to sort of build that momentum up for the cup. We want to win that. And then also as well, like, okay, so what are we doing for Europe? And, you know, I'm not convinced that now that we don't have a big rebuild on our hands, the fact that those last games against Rangers have been concerning. I know it's no for points and all that, but we still need to win it. You know,
exactly. It's not won yet.
Talked about where, like, the fans' expectations haven't dropped. So how is the board and the team and all that? Like, this is a game against your biggest rivals. You know, this is why you come in Scotland. This is one of those games you prefer to play in Scotland, so you get to be part of this occasion. Why do that and then not show up? And you're right. Johnson CCV, all the guys, they look like they're more concerned about whether we're going to hook up with the international team than they were against playing against Rangers.
Yeah. See, normally I am very much, a bigger picture type of fan. The viewers who watches know that Phil's the canvas man on the bus, and I'm always like, look, it's fine. Obviously, last week was bad. There's no denying it. We obviously messed that up big time. But again, usually my mentality will be, look, as long as just get the treble over the line, whatever. But I do now feel that, I don't want to say that they owe us one, but my concern is if we do lose again and we get beat heavily at Ibrox, even if we do go on and win the treble, but if say we do get beaten, what will effectively a dead rubber game, that'll be 3 wins in a row against us. And the next meeting, when it is important, when there is something on the line, will be at Ibrox again. We won't play them at Celtic Park till the new year, going into 2026. So it's like, you don't want to go to Ibrox having been turned over 3-0 in January, losing on our own patch. Obviously, as I said earlier on, I do think it was just a bad day at the office, and we were unlucky in the end when you actually think about it. But anyway, to go to Ibrox, we go and get turned over again in April when we play them in the final meeting of the season, and then the next time we play them will probably be September when the fixtures come out. It's usually early September, and that'll be at Ibrox. It's like you could be staring in the barrel of 4 defeats, so we need to show that we can go there. Now, don't get me wrong, the summer transfer window will still need to happen. There will be a lot of dynamics will change with both squads. So again, but you just want to get that. We need, that's the one game out of the remaining league games. Once the title's won, that's the one where it's like, no, we need to see something. We can't just roll up there and think, that's us won the title anyway. We've got a Scottish Cup final to look forward to. That one, I think we do need to. He needs to have a game plan for that one to say we will not play them on our own patch until end of December, start of January 2026. So yeah, we need to. We cannot just go to Ibrox end of the season with the mentality that it's won and then roll over, because they'll be right up for it in September when we play them there again. So yeah, that is the one in my mind, Liam, where I'm just like, I'm going to break my usual sort of the canvas man on the bus here. I'm like, no, you have to do something here. Aye. You have to get something that day.
Well, I'm in the opinion right now, I don't know if we will, because what it looks like, they'll be allowed to kick the shit out of us again there. And this is a team that doesn't like a fight. We look very soft right now. We don't have, a Scott Brown or a Mikael Lustig, or, like we used to have some people that had presence on the park. You can say Alistair Johnson, but not really. I don't see him as a leader at Celtic. I see him as a good spokesperson and all that, and he's a good mouthpiece for the press and that. But like when it's coming to rallying the guys together, you don't see him doing that. And CCV's like, he's a mute. He doesn't speak at all. By the sounds that you don't hear him, or he seems like a very soft-spoken guy. Trusty looks kind of shy. Only guy used to shout at ball was Greg Taylor.
And again, we'll see what he is mentally and in terms of his pecking order in the team when that game rolls around. But I don't expect him to start tomorrow. I still think Jeffrey Shoop will keep his place. Well, yeah, you never know at this stage. You just don't know. But I do think Jeffrey Shoop should keep his place at the left back. But the other area that is quite concerning for the team tomorrow is the forward line right now, because Maeda's obviously playing fantastic. He's absolutely brilliant, whether he plays through the middle or plays out wide. I think against Rangers, I don't think we utilised Jota enough, because when we did go down the left-hand side a few times in the first half, he seemed to be bad. There was one effort in particular in the first half where he cut inside on his right foot, just decided, fuck it, I'm going to go for it, and had a shot for about 25, 30 yards, and it just skimmed by the post. But it was like, we're having nothing in the right-hand side. So I feel that Jota, I felt like he gets mild pass marks for the last game, just briefly. But the other winger, and I'm really concerned about this, I got asked this one of the previous Friday shows we did, Liam. Nicholas Kuhn's form has dipped in big time since, and I hate to say it, since Jota came back. And I don't want to think that Kuhn's already thinking, well, that's me pretty much getting replaced, and he's phoning it in. But other than the goal against Bayern Munich, nothing much has really happened in the second half of the season for Nicholas Kuhn. He's always trying the sort of same move again and again, cut inside. Defenders usually read it. there's other times where he will run inside and he'll just take too many touches and the shot opens up for him, but he doesn't get shot away or a pass. And I just don't know. Compared to the first half of the season, it's bizarre. So for me tomorrow, if it was me, I wouldn't be against having Maeda and Jota as the wingers and bringing Adam Idah back in, because Hearts are also a physical team. They're a team of cloggers. Let's not be around the bush here. So I think Idah, I think it's him, because with Nicholas Kuhn right now, I just don't know. And the problem is, I'm still not 100% there with Yang. I know we've had a bit of a laugh about Yang recently, and I did say, look, if you can do what James Forrest did this time last year, just contribute goals and assists, whatever, just to help us get to the end of the season. So, I know it's taken him about a year and a half to finally get something out of him. But, with Yang, I still don't know. I think right now I would be looking at, Jota, Maeda and Idah tomorrow, or would you still stick with Maeda through the middle and Kuhn out wide? Or would the Yang gang turn up in your starting front three tomorrow, Liam?
No, I'm not ready for the Yang gang just yet. Well, it depends. Is his girlfriend still here? Because that was a gang.
Apparently that was the secret to the success.
Right, so get some mates for Kuhn. Kuhn has went off the boil. And he had that thing where he's got the 3 big steps that he takes wide, and he gets himself somewhere, close to the first post, and then unleashes it. He stopped doing that because, again, people are cutting him down a lot quicker. People doing that, they know the highlights. Same with the other thing. I think it's a confidence thing. I think he got hooked a couple of times for Jota to come on. And then, I don't know, man. They're young boys still, right? It's hard to get into their head what they think. We see them as professionals and this and that, but fucking kids, most of them, And so, I don't know what it is, if it's a confidence thing that's dropped off. But, having said that, it might be a physical thing. He might be getting clubbed a few times, and he's still protecting an injury or something and trying not to get too involved where he, one of these, Neanderthals are going to go right through you, because he has been on the receiving end of a few hefty tackles as well.
Yeah, he has been. Yep.
And so, that's it. And they're, our whole, the way teams are pressing our midfield as well now, is a lot of teams are figuring out, okay, how we work on that side of the pitch. They still haven't figured out Maeda yet, but they seem to have got a really good grip on how Ingles and Arnie link up. Same with John as well. They managed to fill that up really well.
Yeah.
I still start him. I think, okay, let's see what's happened after a 2-week rest. He's not had international football. Don't believe so. He's been there at the training ground or got his holiday or a rest or whatever it needs for him to get back. But we need him to finish the season the way he started, because our depth is non-existent. And if Yang comes and he shows up, great. But if Yang goes back to where he was, there needs to be a consistency within their team right now as far as form goes. And the only one that's shown anywhere near that is probably Maeda and Schmeichel,
Well, we'll be getting on to the Schmeichel situation soon, but a few people weighing in with their opinions on the Nicholas Kuhn situation. So, obviously, Graham Tyrrell says Kuhn must have sore teeth again. Well, that was, of course, this time last year. NM says Kuhn wants away. Inside on that information there. You don't just drop off a cliff like that if everything is rosy. Interesting. James Kennedy says that Kuhn's in a huff now. So, well, again, I say again, the two events seem to coincide with each other. Jota comes back. Kuhn seems to be fizzling out a wee bit, which is, I say, we know how good he can be. And I hope it isn't anything to do with he's had his head turned, because one of the comments that came out said Paul Maguire has said that Newcastle are looking around the Carrpool Cup winners, Newcastle, with all that money as well, that Saudi money there. Apparently Newcastle linked to him, so hopefully it's not a case he has his head turned. But again, with the form that he has shown this season, and just the way that our team operates, or our club operates, you always know with us, it's only going to be 2-3 seasons, and then eventually something will happen. But if we just start, behaving like a big club and can have Champions League campaigns like we had this year, that doesn't need to be the norm anymore, where it's like every 2-3 years we just keep selling our big players. Maybe we can keep them a couple of years longer if we invest like a big club and we can have campaigns like we had this season, because that's how you attract better players. That's how you do it. You show that you can actually not just turn up and just get beaten 8 games out of 8 in the Champions League. You can actually take a few scalps. You can actually get some points on the board. You can have some games to look forward to after the Christmas period. There's that there. So we'll wait and see on that one. But I say hopefully if Nicholas Kuhn does stick around for another season, we can keep him, get him back up to the form that he's capable of, because Nicholas Kuhn firing on all cylinders with Daizen Maeda and Jota, all his forward options is pretty tantalising, to say the least. I'd be happy to see that. And of course the other position, the big one, the one that's standing out like a sore thumb, but in this case it's a sore shoulder, is Kasper Schmeichel get injured. Now, I call you the wise man plenty of times, Liam, on the bus. I say it all the time, the beard of knowledge. But our other wise man, the Oracle himself, Terry, had said many times, it was almost like he'd had a premonition. He kept saying to Russell about, when's this guy going to get a game? When is Sinisolo going to get a game? And it just wasn't happening. He says, one day, we're going to need to rely on this guy. One day he's going to have come in from the cold and play. It's like he could see it coming, and here we are. He's had one game in the Cup against Raith Rovers where, if you remember correctly, Liam, he only got that game because Schmeichel did have a slight knock for that game. Otherwise, Schmeichel would have started. Now, that game against Raith Rovers, he didn't get tested. There was nothing really for him to do. He could have basically just sat at the side of the goal with a newspaper and probably would have got away with it that day, no bother. But yes, he is obviously in tomorrow and for the foreseeable, because right now we don't have an estimate on when Kasper Schmeichel will be back. The Danish international manager seemed to confirm it for us and told us he will definitely not play against Hearts. There was even some rumours doing the rounds he was going out till September, which I don't think is happening. And I think if that was the case, we would have a definitive answer right now at how long this is going to be. But it's a huge opportunity for the boy. I'm quite confident he'll do okay, but of course the back line in front of him has to be at its best as well. So hopefully we see Austin Trusty back as well, because Nawrocki did all right in the game for coming in for the cold. He wasn't outstanding, but he wasn't terrible. But I'd much rather that Austin Trusty came back. But yeah, Sinisolo, how are you feeling? You confident that you'll step up to the mark, Liam?
Aye, we have to see, right? So did you see how Schmeichel got hurt? He got hurt on one of the offsides that was let to play on.
No way. One of the ones?
Yeah, so if you watch the highlights of the Denmark game and how Schmeichel got hurt, it was through one of them. We've been saying for ages, when a big high-profile player gets injured, that. So yeah, it was one of the offsides that they let go.
Do you know who else said that? Same we played Hibs at Easter Road. Neil Lennon was on commentary. And Hibs were catching us out with offsides all game. They were playing a very high line. And Neil Lennon, the commentator, having a wee sort of rant about, this rule is so stupid. Neil Lennon literally said that. He says, one day a player's going to get injured from one of these unnecessary play-ons. And there we go. I mean, I've not actually seen the injury, but I'd actually heard it was it Diogo Jota was running through or whatever, Portuguese striker, and he's obviously went down and injured his shoulder, and it was totally unnecessary in the end because the goal wouldn't have counted anyway.
So have we confirmed that it's Sinisalo going in goal tomorrow? Because
yes, Brendan Rodgers did say that he'll play. He did confirm it'll be him. Yeah. At first I did think, oh no, this could be Scott. The Baniac could be back in goal.
Oh my God. I mean, stop them off his face.
Oh. Jesus.
Hell. Yeah, honestly, what can you say? We've not seen anything in this guy. I can't even remember him in pre-season or anything like that where he came out and it was like, oh, we've got a keeper there, or anything that was remarkable or past remarkable. It just doesn't seem to be any info on the guy. You know what a keeper he was. I think he was playing with Exeter when we got him. He's
he was on loan at Exeter,
right? Yeah. And I don't know how Exeter did or that, but I
think he did okay. The only thing I know about him is he played for Finland against Scotland just before the Euros last summer, and we drew 2 each, and he denied Tommy Conway, I want to say it was. He denied him a debut goal with an absolutely blinding save, like a fingertip save down to his bottom right. It was a great header back across the goal, and he got down and saved it. That's the only thing I really know about him. It was only after we signed him, and I was like, oh wait, that's That's a goalie for the Scotland friendly against Finland. That's the only reason I knew of him. But yeah, he played for Exeter City on loan from Aston Villa. I don't think he even played for Aston Villa at any point during his time there. But yeah, he was at Exeter City in League One. But I think he'll do okay, because again, the thing is with our games, particularly at home, the goalkeeper can have a very, very quiet game. I've seen many games now over the years where the goalie literally has nothing to do, but there will come that one moment late in the game, usually where a team might get a wee half chance, and it's just about how alert he is to it. I think he'll do okay. Brendan Rodgers seems very confident talking him up today anyway, saying, he's a good goalkeeper and he's young and he's developing really well. Well, should have gave him more games then, I suppose. As Terry kept saying, Terry wasn't wasting his breath when he was shouting that. It was like, you could have gave him games against, some of the lower opposition in the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. But yeah, it was, Brendan also made the choice. But yeah, here we are. Terry's been shouting about it, saying one day, Russell, we're going to need to rely on this guy. He's going to come in from the cold. Well, the cold is here. It is here now. And he's going to have to come in.
Lucky he's for Finland, where he's used to the cold.
It's very cold, so, yeah. Very cold there.
Yeah, I think he's just got to come into his best, see what happens. It's going to take leadership in front of him, though. This is a time where your defenders, the leaders in their team, supposedly going to have to come through and talk him through it. So that's another thing that was missing against Rangers, is we didn't have a leader in the pack. So hopefully Callum was back, and at least he can talk that boy through the game, or at least they all are vocal enough of bringing him through it. I mean, I don't even know if he's a boy. What age is he? 24, 25?
He's in his sort of like early to mid-20s. I think he's around that region as well.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I missed a golden opportunity there. Because he's a Finnish goalkeeper. He's not finished. He's 28.
I know. What's
oh,
well, come on.
I know. It's so, to be fair, it's so overdone, that one now, but at the same time, it was right there for me to tap it into the net, and I let it go by me.
Anyway, we'll see how he does get the big gloves out, and definitely, we got Bain as a backup. So,
yeah.
Hearts will be a good test. We'll see right away. Because if he doesn't look good, then and Schmeichel is indefinite. Like, we've got these playoffs coming up, and we're going to have to look for another goalie. I thought Mitov's okay.
The Aberdeen goalkeeper, isn't he? He's Aberdeen, yeah.
And their slide down the table has coincided when he was injured, and now he's back. And I watched some of the Ireland games where he played against them, and he made some great saves. Although I thought Ida's goal was really well taken, but
and he silenced the fans. He gave them a wee shush.
Is that us or is that Ireland? Because you know what, I was talking shit about him as well after the Rangers game. I thought he offered nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, it reminded me of, I don't remember a few years ago, Harry Maguire was getting a lot of flack from the English press, and he scored a goal for England and did a celebration like that. And Roy Keane, because Roy Keane does a lot of the punditry for ITV, was like, show it on the park, show it, instead of sending all these messages, you're getting ready for criticised. So Adam Ida, I mean, I love him. I want him to, succeed. Of course, he's a Celtic player. You all want him to concede, but at times he has looked massively off it this season. If it's all his fault for the lack of game time he gets, who knows? But just show it. You want to go out and send messages to critics for writing you off, then show it in the park. Score goals like that you did through the week. That header against Bulgaria. It was like, great header. It's like, do that more often for Celtic in particular, and prove people wrong instead of, send wee messages to them. So just let your football do the talking, do it that way. So hopefully that kicks him on as well and spurs him on to say, I would have him starting tomorrow. Whether he does, who knows? Before we go to do our predictions, and I'll do the guess the player, just a quick mention as well, because this came up in the chat. Let me see if I can find it. Joe Henry's having a conversation with Monty about Neil Lennon, the Dunfermline manager, and he's not came alone, Liam. I think we need to have a quick chat on this. Victor Wanyama. Russell said it in the Boise Bus chat the other day. Neil Lennon seems to do this wherever he's went now after Celtic. He'll just basically go and get the old band back together somehow. I know he took Adam Matthews and Gary Hooper and stuff out to Cyprus with him. And here he is rocking up at Dunfermline. And Victor bloody Wanyama one of my all-time favourites I've watched at Celtic. Absolutely love Victor. Yeah, he's a Dunfermline player to the end of the season. Just vintage Neil Lennon, mate. So what a story.
It seems to be out the old guy playbook for managers for the O'Neill, the O'Neill inspired managers of that come out, and it seems to be when you show up with a player that everybody's going to respect right away, and because Lennon's, he's been tarnished as well, like as a manager. He's no the success we all thought he would have, and so to show up with somebody that's successful and bring that instant credibility. And also, make some of those professional, just moves and all that will show up in training and all that. And this is how you behave. And hopefully it comes through. But as far as I know, he's not played in about 6 months. Played less with Montreal, and they've started again already. So he's missed out a lot of football. I don't know if that's a good signing for the 7 games left, or if that's a guy to help with training like Yo-Yo Torre.
Yeah, there could be something like that. But yeah, it's an interesting signing. But yeah, we'll see how Lenny gets on. A few people are already predicting, like Graham Mann saying, if Lenny gets the Pars job full time next season and keeps him in the Championship, obviously they could get promoted to the Premiership. But yeah, imagine Victor Wanyama sticks around for another season with them, ends up coming back up. Remember, like when Mo Donati turned up playing for Hamilton Accies? Remember that as well? A few seasons back. Aye, mad. I see somebody as well saying through the week that's got to be maybe the biggest signing in the lower leagues of Scottish football. But somebody did point out, and I forgot about this, Chris Waddle signed for Falkirk in the 90s when they were in the first division, but Chris Waddle was also about 40 at that time. But yeah, in terms of name value, I think Chris Waddle is probably a big one. But Victor Wanyama, he is 33, so he has still got something in the tank, I reckon. But yeah, we'll see how Lenny gets on there. But yeah, Dunfermline have now got Neil Lennon, and he's getting, who knows, maybe Adam Matthews will turn up next, or Mikael Lustig will come out of retirement or something. Who knows? Who knows?
They might play him as a sweeper.
Maybe, aye. They might do something like that. But yeah, well, we say good luck to Lenny. So before we do our predictions, of course, start of the show, I did my guess the player. And yeah, I think it was a nice, easy one. And as I said earlier on, I'm sitting here thinking, Liam, that you'll know who this is. So the career obviously began at Celtic, and then he went to Arsenal, and then he went to Aberdeen, and then had another spell at Celtic, and finished his career at Clyde. So yeah, Liam, who is tonight's mystery player?
One of those never meet your heroes. One of the unimpressed people I ever met in my life was that man.
All right, okay.
I wanted to like him, but he was such a dick. Charlie Nicholas.
It is Champagne Charlie Nicholas, and he's even got a diamond stud earring in that picture there, mate. Champagne Charlie. Yeah, interesting. I was about to ask what's your memories of Charlie Nicholas, but I think you've just answered that there, Liam, for your own personal meeting of him. So tell us more, Liam, what exactly happened?
Nothing. I met him at a Simple Minds gig, and then I met him once at a party when Scotland, Canada, the Scottish team playing. I ran into him twice, and both times just like, ugh, it's like, I thought you were going to be cool, man. No, not at all.
Yeah, he said himself that he feels like an outsider at Celtic these days, even if obviously his first spell at the club was way before my time. But I have seen, I think it's a famous goal he scores against Ajax, where we beat them out in Amsterdam, and he also scored an unbelievable goal against Rangers at Ibrox when he chipped the goalkeeper. Absolutely brilliant. One of these ones where he just a Jenkins side, left, right, just bamboozles the defender, then chips the goalkeeper. But yeah, he was one of these players, I think, that he had the world at his feet essentially. On Celtic, and then it was the Arsenal move that most people say was a bit of a sideways step, because Arsenal were far from the best team in England at the time, and of course many point out it was mostly for the nightlife, to go to London, the bright lights, the glitz, the glamour, the women probably. So yeah, that was.
I remember when Scotland was in Canada, sells tales out of school here, but my God, they hooked up with some of the most frightening women I've ever seen in my life. This was like Premier League, well, no Premier League then, but big names. And I was looking at some of the birds they were picking up. I was like, why do I go anywhere near that? But anyway, take your own. You know,
the second spell at the club, obviously, that's when I remember seeing him playing. And I've said before, one of my earliest memories, in fact, my earliest memory I can vividly remember watching on the TV was us losing to Rafe Rovers, and Charlie Nicholas played and scored in that game. I believe Charlie Nicholas was the one that put us 2-1 up with about 3 minutes to go in the clock, and then Gordon DL still managed to equalise, and it went to extra time and penalties, and the rest is history, sadly, with that one. So, my memories of Charlie Nick in a Celtic shirt aren't great, but I just, him as a pundit, and that horrendous comeback that he had with him and Jeff Sterling were having some banter with each other, and Jeff was sort of ripping the piss out of him, and his comeback was just so bad. It's infamously, he tries to slag him about wearing glasses, and he just totally flubs his lines, and it was just like, oh, so awkward, Charlie. But he did have a great start to his Celtic career, but maybe he left a bit too early, maybe made the wrong move. But that was Charlie Nicholas was tonight's hidden player. Now, before we go, Liam, predictions for the Hearts game tomorrow. Will Celtic come roaring back with a great performance? Will it be a bit of a scrappy one and we'll just get over the line? How do you think it's going to play out?
We have to. I think it's one of these things where it's all about the motivation. This is when a good manager makes his money. Now, a lot of the players were just shown back up yesterday and the day before, right, to training and that. And I'm hoping the travel and all that is not going to be a detriment to us, because I can't imagine Hearts had many players in international duty.
No, I would imagine so.
So you never know. But anyway, but not as many as what we've had. I know Yang was with Korea, and we've had the boys in Japan and the North American guys on the other side of the world as well. So, we'll just see what it's like. But are we at Tynecastle tomorrow?
No, it's Celtic Park, mate. Celtic Park. Right? Yeah.
I think we should have enough to come out and shut them up. I always believed Greg Taylor was a bad bet against Hearts. Hearts was always a team that loved to target him and punish him and just run him about and all that. So I'm hoping we've got the big Jeffrey Schlupp on, and he battles away any of the sort of demons for that last game he had, because I thought he was wearing Uggs out there. It's like, what, he didn't know how big this game was, and if that's the case as well, how
Yeah, oh no, he's definitely got a taste of it now after the way. I think the reaction afterwards will tell him it was a big bloody deal. But we are at Celtic Park. In fact, our remaining fixtures, we've got Hearts, then we've got St Johnstone away, and then we've got Kilmarnock at home, and then it's the post-split fixtures, which we don't know yet. But it looks like the other 5 teams that will be in it will be Rangers, Aberdeen, Dundee United, Hibs, and it's either going to be Motherwell or Hearts, it looks like. So the fixtures still need to be determined. But if Celtic continue to win, and if Rangers also continue to win, because obviously if they drop points, we can win it sooner. We're looking at winning it the first game after the split. But obviously we want to get it done as soon as possible. The only way we can do it is by doing our part, by winning the games. And I think we will win tomorrow. Because it's at Celtic Park, I think we'll go out. And I say it'll be 3-1. I mean, I want to give Sinisol a clean sheet, but I think there'll be a wee moment. Hearts will get a goal back, but I think ultimately we'll go on and win it. And it's just a case of just keep powering forward. Say St Johnstone after that, and then we've got Kilmarnock at home. So we just keep on going now, Liam, and that's it. And the title, hopefully 4 in a row, will be here sooner rather than later. And then we can get our eyes on the Scottish Cup and get our eyes on the potential treble. So it's still a bit of work to do. Still a wee while to go. It's not quite there yet, but we're quite confident it will be. So we're going to head off. I put up a few predictions there from the guys in the chat as well. Very resounding confidence going on for the majority of the folks. So hopefully that is resonated tomorrow on the park, and we do come away with a nice hands-on victory. 3 points before Rangers kick off against Dundee at Dens Park in the evening. So they've got a Saturday evening kick-off. So we are looking to be 16 points in front of them before they've even kicked the ball. I say it's just over to you now, Celtic. Just go out and get the job done. Again, I say this, I feel like I'm saying this every week. The mission is clear. What more motivation do you need? You shouldn't need any of us to tell you what's on the line here. So, you go out and get it done. So we are heading off now. It's been good to be back on No Friday Feeling. We shall catch us on the next one. Russell and Terry for PMP. I'd imagine we'll be along tomorrow sometime in the evening after the game, so look out for that. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet, and you'll be alerted when it is going live. And thanks everybody for choosing us on this another busy Friday night. We shall catch you on the next one, guys. Enjoy the game tomorrow, and see you later.